Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO. We've got a banger matchup coming up right now. And it's Kanga and Pentanet looking to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow. You name it, they've got it. And look, I believe that Kanga, they have finally found a patch that works for them. Chungy on the Ari. Are we going to see him allowed to play that again today, Rusty?
I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? He's been known as a very prolific Ari player, and the amount of success that we saw from them yesterday almost changed the entire identity of Kanga, right? So yeah. It's hard to say if he'll get it again, because Ari is one of the weirdest bans that any team has to make, right? And you know that he's just going to pick the Ari blind, so in theory you should be fine with every matchup. But the question is, are you still going to give him that one trick? Because it was good enough to beat Peace, so it could beat anyone.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're looking at Only as well. He had a bit of a rough week last week in comparison to the other previous weeks as well. So I'm thinking, look, Only definitely has to be doing something crazy, and him combined with Chungy getting some champs that he wants in the Rift, like that is a recipe for success. Of course, taking out Peace to the first team and only team to beat Peace so far. So that is not only a huge boost to the confidence, but maybe, just maybe, Pentanet are going to be quivering in their boots today for this matchup, Skinny.
Potentially, for sure. I mean, I feel like right now you're looking at a side of PGG that will punish everything in the early game. They are, in my opinion, the most aggressive team in this league so far. So I feel like if there was anyone who looked to try and punish any small mistake that Kanga might, showcase, then they're going to look to put you down in the dumpster very quickly and say, yes, you took down Peace, yes, you've upset their balance, but you won't find that same level of success with us. There's the boys on your screen right now, and as I said before, I feel like they're aggressive for good reason too. You've got the highest kill participation player on their team, highest damage per minute, the most kills. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. It's volatile because they do die a lot to fuel those kind of actions, but they are certainly not shy of making those plays, and that's why we love them.
Skimmy, you've got one stat in particular, and it's most pentas stolen as well. Of course, owned by Volkan. So let's see if he's en route for another one of those today. I guess we'll see once we jump into the Rift and see who's playing what, who's going where, and what's doing who. Now, of course, this is going to be an interesting one because PGG, they've been shaky. They've mentioned it themselves, in those best of ones. You never really know what's going to happen. They're sort of just playing for the playoffs and looking to win it in the multi-game series that they will have eventually. Now, in terms of the champs we've seen from them, they've played a fair few different things, but of course, we heard from them yesterday as well that they just want to play Pentanet champs. They just want to play their own rosters that they feel comfortable on, and that's when they feel like they are going to have the greatest amount of success. So I feel like that's exactly what we're going to expect from Champ Select today.
Yeah, I mean,
what's funny?
Yeah, you go.
I was just going to say one small side bet. What's funny for me is Ubisoft was always like, 1 week, Corki is broken, they lose the game. Right. Twisted Fate is broken, Winter is broken, they lose that game. So I'm almost tempted to ask Udi in our next interview, hey, do you want to just jinx everything, get it out the way, maybe just summon a bunch of champions and ideas, and then it won't affect you?
Yeah, what's broken right now, Udi?
That's a good question. Maybe we'll have a chance to catch up with him. I guess we'll see when we do get the coach interview. But something we do have to see right now is a head-to-head. We got Lionel up against Beats. So both playing some pretty big games yesterday, getting dubs on the board. And, well, Rusty, tell me, what do these numbers mean? Because you are the token support here right now.
So I'm pretty close to having a Rusty rant just about supports in the LCO. Okay. So we were close, but we'll look at these two right now. So these two played yesterday, and these are stats from their previous match. The reason that I wanted to bring this up is Kanga got a victory, and they looked really good in their win, right? I would say the whole top side was hard winning, and Limas was solid. So the reason that I bring up the supports is because if there was a place that I wanted to see improve from Kanga coming into today's game, it's that Lionel was almost invisible on the map. He did very little damage to champions. His average damage share is 5%. It was less yesterday. He did basically 0 damage. And he was a Nautilus, right? So he's an aggressive and engaged style champion. And what this indicates to me is that he just wasn't engaging, wasn't involved. I had a look at the stats. He has 4 out of 16 kill involvement as a support Nautilus, who was the sole engage on the team. So a lot of the game was won through their top side of the map and Limas when it came to team fights. And I just want to see so much more from Lionel. And if he gets working with Only, right? If they get more proactive as a duo, then I think we can see the actual full potential of Kanga realized. But right now, to me, that is a missing piece. And the last time I spoke about a support underperforming, Mac, they just showed up in 1v9 the next game. I'm looking at Corporal. So that's what I want to see from Lionel.
Look, I feel like, you know, what we saw from him last year as well, obviously he was playing almost every single game that weak side ADC and just sort of farming up, staying safe, doing that sort of thing. Whereas this is a bit of a, you know, not a bit of a, it's a huge role swap going in. You need to be hard engaged most of the time. I think a lot of the champs he's played so far have been engaged supports.
So there's so much more to this that I didn't go into because I've saved it for if I get super upset at supports in general. But like,
all right,
you can't be a weak side support player. You have to find an angle, otherwise you're not actually playing support. You're just losing. So I just want to see more Hex Flash. I want to see more aggression. I want to see flashes force. Just play your role the way I want you to play it.
All right. Well, I was very close to cracking open a can of worms, but. We'll let the worms stay in the can for now. Keep some content for later on in the split. We have Kitty here, who, I don't know, are you a fan of worms? I use them for fishing occasionally, but I don't live in a very good fishing spot. I've got a creek down the road. I don't know, do you have any, do you live near water?
I don't live near water and I don't like worms. I'm sorry, Mac. But something I do like is ADC players. And that's why I grabbed Praedyth for the interview. Hello, Praedyth. So let's talk about last week. You had 2 Zeri games in a row. How's she different in terms of mechanics and playstyle compared to those more traditional ADCs that you play?
That's a good question. She's a lot different because I don't really like skill shot champs. I don't really play Ezreal. These like real boring champs I find. But Zeri's like aggressive and she uses skill shots. Most of like the mages that use skill shots aren't very aggressive. So it's been like actually pretty hard adapting to playing this champ. But it's been like a lot of fun. I thought when she came out I was gonna hate her a lot, but she's a lot of fun. She has like different builds. I tried a new build yesterday. Pretty sure it was pretty troll, but it worked out. So yeah, she's a very, very, very fun champ.
Well, I could tell you were having fun on that Zeri because you were caught red-handed greeting for that mid wave. Despite that, you have an 85% win rate when you are ahead in CS at 15 minutes. Given those stats, would you say dying for CS is worth it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I actually lost that stat yesterday against like Gravitas of all teams. I was 100% ahead CS at 15 minutes against every other team besides Gravitas. So I think Gravitas bot lane is just goated.
Definitely goated. Someone else who's goated is Balkan. How does he react when you tank his jungle camps?
Actually, he's like really easygoing. Sometimes, like if he's like having a bad game and he's feeling bad for me, he'll like ping the jungle camp and tell me to get it. But like if he also gets all the jungle camp, he's like Thanos. So it's like it's a good mix between like me getting my stats really good, looking good, and like wanting to win the game and giving Balkan the camps because he's just gonna 1v9 the game with the camps.
Well, Thanos also steals your pentakills, but that's okay. There's more to come in the future. Well, thank you for the interview, Praedyth, and best of luck in your game.
Thank you.
I do always get confused. You know, is it Balkan in the Rift or is it Thanos? You know, it's a question I've asked every single day since he's been here in the LCO. Now we got to talk about predictions because the game is not too far off. Now, I'm living on the hype train. You know, Kanga, they finally got another W, and I'm here to wait for that extra W. And you guys, you're never with me. You're never with me. No, not yet. Maybe later on today we may finally have a bit of a shift in these predictions. But I'm looking to go even today. 15-15. It's about to happen here. You know, Rusty, tell me...
What do you do after that, Mac? That's my question. You hit even now, right? You come into the next week, you can't just tip the underdogs if you want to stay even. So what are you going to do? I'm content. You know,
He's thinking, what do I do, Rusty?
I'm here just to be like the clown. You know, next week I will dress up as a clown and say, hey guys, what's up? I don't know. Do you have, what kind of makeup? Do you just have like white, like face cream, or do you use like zinc to do the, you know, the clown face?
Mac, you're almost negative. You're 15-14.
Very true. Yeah.
Bring it back. Stop derailing the subject. No, Kitty's on board here.
Oh, no.
Kitty, I couldn't understand the question, unfortunately. You'll have to ask a different one. Now, moving forward, look, you didn't get to have your say in this matchup yet, Kitty. We are going to see a couple of the positions from both these teams looking to get pretty tight. Look, I'm thinking like that jungle as well. If only performs like we were seeing him for the last couple of weeks going up against Balkan, how do you think he's going to fare?
I think Only will have sort of an easier time because he is probably after Changi's performance, maybe he's the second best performing player on Kanga. But if Pentanet leave open that Ahri, I don't know how Pentanet's going to win tonight. Yeah, Ahri.
Well, we'll see if that Zeri makes it through because, you know, Zumi, I think we just saw that first L happen with a bit of Zumi sneaking through, rather. And, you know, that was surprising. Although, you know, with the two teams that were there, maybe it wasn't surprising for a lot of people. But in terms of the champs, it was a bit of a diffy. Maybe not in the jiffy, but in the biffy. Is that where we go?
Yeah, biffy
bot lane, the biffy.
Say it.
Tiffy top lane, Miffy mid. So beautiful. All right, new terms coming up with them. Jubes isn't here. He'd always talk about Diffy and the Jiffy. And look, I love Only. Everyone knows I'm his biggest fan. But at the same time, I feel like there definitely is space for there to be a Diffy in the Jiffy. But of course, we'll see if that happens or not because Champ Select is ready. Let's jump in.
Well, thank you, Mac. Let's figure out where the Diffy will be found as we do jump into Champ Select. Will it be in the draft? Will it be in the game? Who knows? Because as it stands, no surprise. Let's be quite real for 2 seconds. Ahri will have to be banned, but also a big target on these AD carries once again.
Yeah, so Zeri, Aphelios, and Caitlyn gone does mean that Jinx is really the last remaining really good AD, I would say. Like, there's still options. Almost everywhere. Like, honestly, Jhin, Ezreal, like, they're still champions, I suppose, but, like, Jinx is the good one. Jhin is much more of a utility, I want to say, longer range, safer as a standalone champion, works well with the Nautilus, with the dive compositions if you leave Jhin just, like, way back, right? Can't be touched by anything. And that also means that Jhin, if positioned correctly by Kanga, can work nicely into the Diana Yasuo type of compositions, right? Because he's just going to be so far back using that ultimate that it's about what the rest of the team can provide. And the foundations are already there, Skimmy, for another Diana comp. And the way that this speaks to me is that PGD said if it's not broken, don't fix it. Rogue said as much yesterday. That they've got an identity. Why not continue that identity forward? It makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, they played the Diana yesterday. Also, Balkan played the Diana last time they went up against Kanga Esports. If you remember, that was their debut game. They went Diana Tryndamere in the mid lane and went 15-2 between them. Absolute shellacking, as Spawn would once upon a time say. The Karthus has been hobbled. This is a very real pick. This is a pick I was actually begging to see Only play for a whole host of time. He's going to troll me. Of course he will. But the Gwen still definitely up there at the top.
Oh, Gwen's still a huge deal. I think one of the best things about the Gwen is the flexibility. So if teams are able to put it between jungle and top lane, it opens up the first three in a draft phase a lot. So being able to pick Gwen third in 2 bans, you get a lot of choices here, right? 4 or 5 bans, you probably get rid of the Yasuo. You probably get rid of the combo primarily. Beyond the Yasuo, yeah, I guess they're going to go for the Tryndamere, right? That's one of Yuri's options. He played it with the Diana as well. So AD mids is the most likely ban targets here. And Chungy not going to get the Ahri. The question is what he chooses to play in response now. Limiting that AD mid pool could force Yuri to something like the Corki, to something like the Rise, the Twisted Fate again. And so like Chungy's effective mage champion pool can actually rise in priority.
Yeah, it does beg the question, though, if you can have that crossover. Like we have seen before, we have double AP between mid and jungle, and itemization becomes quite nice to make your life a little bit easier for the staying power in lane. Gray's removed as well. What does Kanga decide then? They've removed the Tryndamere already. Are they going to look to continue the aggression in towards Yuri's champion pool? Nope, they go for the blind Gragas instead.
They're going to leave the Yasuo open. That to me is just a clear indicator that Chungy has something, right? That Chungy and Yuri, or rather Chungy and Only, have something cooking. What I would like to see the most from Kanga, not taking into account PGG's comp right now, is that Gwen goes top lane, that only gets the Xin Zhao if possible. I think it's just a great champion, even though they're dive, right? And they're going to be going into you. You can still disperse the ranks with that ultimate.
Yeah.
And then you play to counter mid lane would be my preferred choice. So like a jungle of 4th here makes the most sense. Even though your flex right now is top jungle with the Gwen, That's what I would like.
My question then becomes, though, what is the counter if they were to go for the Yasuo? What would he look to try and pick up? You know, we know he can play the Galio. He could go to Twisted Fate, still up and available.
Oh, it's not a counter, though, right? That just dies. So,
if you're just looking to try and play to the side lanes, though, right? You just ignore the laning phase. This is my question, really, as to where does he decide to invest?
Yeah, I want to see him control the lane, right? If we assume, and we are obviously assuming that it's possible that it's still going to be a Yasuo, Yuri was pretty clean on it yesterday. Choices to me are like, I mean, Malzahar?
Sure.
It's at least locked in now, so this does confirm that it's going to be a Gwen top lane. You just don't know what Chungi plays, man. Because, like, for some reason, the two champions that I'm thinking of for Chungi is, like, it's actually just Galio and Malzahar.
Yeah,
and that's not human responses from me.
Just have a quick look at his past few games. You've got the likes of Vega, Oriana. Also, we had that mid AP Cogmore as well. PGG, though, is certainly going to showcase that, yes, the set is back. That should be fun. The Yasuo, far too good to give up. They need that to be locked in. It worked for them yesterday, and it put in so many montage-worthy performances.
Okay. So, yeah, this was another part of my thinking, and I don't think it is Chungi that has to play the Riven in this, right? You look at the matchups, is it a Riven top Gwen mid? Needs to be thought through. And this kind of comes back to why do you pick the Jhin first, Gimme, right? With the bans that are out there, they choose to get rid of the Zeri instead of something like the Jinx with the Caitlyn already gone. They're not going to handshake a Philios as an AD. They wanted the Jhin. And that to me is an indicator with the Nautilus that they're going to be playing a bunch of melee, divey style champions. And it's clear now that we're looking at a Riven with a Gwen as the solo lane options. Assuming those trades are happening, because we don't know till the last second in the LCO.
Certainly don't. Have seen laning Lisa in this split, so it wouldn't be all too surprising, but you'd imagine top side would be Gwen if anything of recency bias is to go off. So we'll wait for the final confirmation of the graphic once it is all locked in. But I suppose whilst we do, referring back to PGG, I mean, the Diana mid-jungle combo, it worked flawlessly yesterday. They had it with the Zeri. Praetor was also able to wipe the floor and pick up all the kills. Similar kind of style, right? You know, a Jinx going to get excited with that one shot and going to go through with it as a result.
So it is going to be lived Lee Sin Pop, huh?
Okay.
So we have to talk about that a little bit, and we will when we get into game because we'll have a lot more time. So Kanga's composition overall, assuming that is where they're going to be resting, Chungi playing the Riven mid, I want to say that's a winning Riven matchup, but Yuri obviously does have outplay. Depending on how he dashes and uses the minions overall, I would still give that to Chungi. The 2v2, however, that's really difficult to call because a Diana Yasuo should just have the ability to damage and burst out one individual person, but Gwen can become immune and kind of stop a Diana Q from hitting or a Tornado from hitting potentially, and Chungi is a bruiser in mid who will be building probably a Gore Drink or a bruiser type item, so they may not have enough damage to straight out one-hit someone. And that's pretty true across the board, but they are all melee skimmy, so that combo still works come mid-game skirmishes.
It really does. Very, very keen to see what this mid lane matchup, you know, in the end actually does look like, whether or not it's just a case of a skill matchup, a check between two players looking to try and flaunt themselves. If it is a rise of form, all at the right time for them to showcase it. Loading into game number 2 of the night as PGG and Kanga do battle once more. And it's time for us to get some insight from one of the coaches as we welcome back Coach Udisoft onto the stream.
Hello, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Welcome back. I know you're well rested now. You know you've had a break from the hard streaming life. I have to ask,
Yes.
Has the team found its identity to split now? Because you've currently got the most kills, as well as the highest first blood rate.
I'm gonna be real with you. Have we found our identity yet? Hell no. We've got a lot to work on still. I've been away for 2 weeks, but Chippies has been doing actually great work with the team. Have we found our identity? No, we've locked in Yasuo Diana for the past, 2 games. What happens if they ban Diana? Oh, well, our identity's gone. So no, we don't have our identity.
True.
We're still working on it. We got a lot of work.
Can't argue with that. Facts, pure facts. I just want to ask also, it seems that every single time we've had these conversations, Udi, something's cursed. It's happened, right? You mentioned the Corki to TF, you say it's broken, then it's not, you lose. So do you just want to have an open platform now and just reveal a bunch of things that are broken so you can no longer jinx it?
Okay, well, I'm gonna do reverse psychology here. Yasuo and Diana is trash. It's a terrible combo. Alright? We're going to lose today. That's it.
Love your work. Love your work, Udi. All right, mate. We're going to jump into the game. Wish you boys the best of luck.
Goodbye.
Let's see if it's true.
Let's see if he can reverse psychology his way into a dub. Or if the curse is just too powerful. It's not about Udisov. It's about when he's interviewed, not what he says. We will see. We will see. Just taking stock of everything that's happened so far. When it is a Gwen and a Diana on the Rift competing one against each other, hang on, with fighting bottom. Flash immediately forced here, Skimmy. But gonna fizzle. So I'll go back to my point. When a Gwen and a Diana are playing against each other, don't expect ganks until level 6. I think that's the most important thing for both junglers here. Gwen wants to hard farm 100%. She doesn't have really good ease of access to ganks in general because she is a Gwen. One thing that is different is that she has Flash instead of Ghost, so clearly wants to be a bit more active perhaps. Flash does just give you more access in general, where Ghost is more useful for the protracted fights. Flash does get you out of a potential Diana-Yasuo combo though. So, yeah, I mean, we might get a gank, like we might get an attempt, but that usually will be when there's no camps left, right? So you expect the 6th camp, like level 4 type clears from both junglers. And then after their item resets, that's when we look at the junglers and say, what are they going to get done? Until that point, we're looking at top lane because it is a Lee Sin versus Set, which feels like we've gone back a year.
Sure.
But they're going to fight a lot.
It's a flashback to the past. The true damage right in the center of that haymaker. That hurts. Lived would have been wincing for a second that he may have been lethal.
Yeah, it was pretty close actually. The wave's still going to be pushing towards him, so he will be able to teleport in. Jungler showed, though, only on the top vision, so I know exactly where he is. The other side of the map, it was a cheeky little invade for vision from Balkan and just a bot scuttle to be secured. So again, the end result will still be just recalls after full clears for junglers. Identical items as well. We can count from 3 to 1. We're looking at these laners first, right? And so we saw a fight top lane. We know that Lee Sin Set's going to be super brawly. It's not something that's going to change. They're both close range, in-your-face champions. More often than not, Lee Sin wants to control the wave with E, but Set punishes super hard, especially if he's able to cancel one of those dashes away with his face breaker. Just punch your head in. Mid lane is a matchup where we said it's presumably going to be Riven favored. But if we actually look at the runes real quick here as well, a lot of scaling from both ADCs, so it's clear they're not going to be fighting down there. The action is definitely happening in these solo laners, but it is sorcery secondary from Chungi, where it is more level 1 fighty from Yuri, right? Needs the bone plating because he knows a Riven. Pretty terrifying earlier.
Yeah, and that tenacity could come in absolutely huge if it does go down to the wire with a low health. Also worth touching on the fact that majority of Nautiluses and Leonas have still opted for the Aftershock, about 70% in fact here in the LCO. Rogue has opted for the Glacial Augment this time around. Does have Hex Flash advantage too, so we'll get to see if he can find his moment to strike, being squishier for more setup to succeed.
I've lost count of how many games in a row we have seen Kanga lose their level 2 priority as well. Not that there's going to be a big force of that this time around, being a Nautilus and a Jhin, but they did have to use the flash on Lionel super early, so it is one of those moments. But maybe he is low-key wishing he had the Hex Flash to be aggressive, but we can note that Lionel has been incredibly passive in the support role so far. And Rogue, I like the Glacial. I think he's one of the few supports that's kind of always gone for Glacial if possible. He did it with Rel also in one of their games earlier. And it's so good for reducing the damage of allies. So if you think about the enemy team, we might have to hold the thought, depending on how Winthra plays this, a flash ult could be comboed with a Yasuo.
So they could. Kick goes out nice and early, as then there is the suplex. Look at the lock in place only once again. They all jump in together. Last breath is there, and they do find that last breath. As they find one, surely they're going to find a second, as Winter just gives them the left-right good night. Double kill topside, PGG straight on the score sheet.
Yeah, Yuri with a fantastic roam, not Balkan, right? We said these junglers want to chill out, get level 6 as fast as possible. But it's actually the movements of the Yasuo mid who hits 6 first that wants to make the play. And that's great, right? We know that top's been winning this entire time. The massive trades that were victorious earlier, the vision of the jungler allows you to do this. hits level 6 Winterer and just wants to push him off. We're going to hold that.
Yeah, no need to see a replay. There is action happening in the now. Let's be mindful of that for 2 seconds. Deadly Flourish goes on through, trying to protect Rove, who is just jumping in. Says, that kill's confirmed. I'm on to the next one. Chaining the CC together, a forced flash cleanse. And Kanga are in trouble. Now, can Gwen do anything? Only rocks up to the lane. He has no level 6.
No, only dies if he takes that.
And you can be immune, but you're not keen to take that.
Yeah, walking into a Leona, you're just probably going to suffer, right? Jinx Leona has crazy amounts of DPS if you're stuck by yourself, and your W's not going to provide immunity to their damage. If they're playing in close range, it gets cancelled, and Yuri is back with ultimate.
In trouble. Yep, they have the ultimate combo. No suplex this time, however, a lot of poke damage. Tornado going to be lined up. He tries to safeguard away. It's not going to be possible. Nowhere to run, son.
Yeah, just goes down. Chungy top lane's just going to be a little too late. Diana Yasuo, no ultimate, set ult on cooldown as well, so Chungy will be able to catch this wave on the resets. Has the possibility to 1v1 Winterer if he knows the ult timing, but that's hard to say. Rogue.
Flash forward. Lionel wants to try and find this pick on towards Rogue. Looking to walk away. The shield expires, and so does his mitigation. So Kanga get their first kill.
And you know, the most amazing thing about Gwen's W, Skimmy, is that Jinx traps have no effect. He straight up just walked over the traps and found that kill. Yuri, Belkan, they are here at the red buff. They want to defend this one.
Last cone gets only out of harm's way. Lionel will literally just gallivant out of the jungle also, so they won't be able to steal away the red buff.
Yes, I definitely don't like that Gwen W gets rid of things that are like effectively existing on the ground, if that makes sense. Like, how are you just going to casually walk over a bear trap that's got a cupcake in it from Caitlyn? Just casually. There's no shot that that should exist. But, you know, Gwen does exist, so here we are. We'll just accept reality real quick.
Fun and balanced is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, it's both of those things.
Very proactive so far here from PGG. Push the wave, roam topside, find success. That was a very close center blade.
And now lived by himself in what is known to be a 1v4 situation.
Yeah.
What will he do?
Straight away from the turret, into the moonfall, into the last breath. 1, 2, and 3. Every ultimate committed towards him. He can't do much.
Yeah, it's very different to yesterday's game from Kanga, isn't it? Liv doesn't have control of lane, only isn't able to get the 2v2 ganks off. He's not able to play for top lane. And Chungy's not getting solo kills mid because Yuri has said mid lane isn't real. And he's become the Smite Janna of mid lane, but it's Yasuo, and he's ganking knock-up champions. It's so good from PGG's side here, just to avoid any places where they're weak and get leads where they're strong.
Yeah, Chungy's still waiting to use that Ignite, right? He was willing that he can find perhaps that counter in mid for the 1v1. Gonna pop the Sword of Exile and look to try and 1v2 here. Let's pick it up. We'll cop an exhaust and say, well, that's worth. I'm gonna hit the Ignite. I'm gonna hit the flash, and can I get out? No! Yuri will burn double summoners to match him. Whew, close for a second.
I feel like Yuri also just blind Q flashed and hit the perfect spot there as well. So that's really nuts stuff from the mid laner of PGG. Close to surviving if you are Chungy. And Lived is going to be in a situation that is no longer just losing, it is at all times losing. And it is devastating.
Oh, leave him alone. He's already dead. He's 0-3.
No, but that top turret is still standing, Skimmy. If Liv doesn't start conceding the turret unless Only is here, and Only's on the way, he might think he's baiting for a fight. The issue is that Belkan is also waiting.
Doesn't have flash. He doesn't have kick.
Look at Yuri.
Isn't there. Yuri's on the widest flank, gonna get spotted by Vision, but it's gonna be too late. A numbers overload. He doesn't even need to do anything. No assist is found. Just a postcard is sent to the inbox of Kanga. Your top laner is 0-4.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where, like, you would say it is a mid gap, not because they are losing mid 1v1 by any means. Chungy's been fine. He's been pushing the wave in, but the CS is dead even. And Yuri is 2-0-3. He has been strategically playing towards his set this entire time, right, to get himself a lead and circumvent weaknesses, and it affects the entire map, you know? So Yuri, Belkan, crazy work so far, just influencing the entire map, and we haven't seen anything from Kanga yet. And this is one of those moments where, in my mind, I want to see more proactivity from Only, and I can name you, off the top of my head, a proactive champion that's in this game being played in potentially the wrong lane, Skimmy.
Yep.
What do you reckon it is?
Yeah, well, we did have questions about where this Lee Sin would go, and hey, you know what? We rolled, we rolled a low number. It was a low roll. It's not really what we wanted to see. Winter is saying, I've snowballed out of control. What am I going to rush? Of course it's going to be Hullbreaker. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, of course it's going to be a Hullbreaker. It's funny because they gave him a lead and now they're just going to have to leave him alone. But Winter is going to group with the team, so the efficiency of Hullbreaker does go down just a little bit. Still pushing towards the bottom side of the map now that top is broken, means that Lived will have some time to push, but he has a singular longsword to work with. He's not going to have any threat, and Winter opens the map to teleport back to top lane. So it's, again, really nice stuff here by PGG. They know that Winter is not here, though. You want to say a collapse is possible, but of course they're not going to be playing to this side of the map. They're not looking for the fight.
Well, Yuri's going to take the 1v1, get stunned up by the Riven. No minions to dash to now. The kick goes out, and is he out? Can he just run away? No, Sonic Wave does connect, and finally they'll get a shutdown. Their second of the game, and a kill that Liv so desperately wanted.
Yeah, they needed that one a lot. At the end of the day, well played holding the ultimate, waiting for the wind wall to be down. There was an angle, I think, where Yuri goes for the outplay, but didn't have teammates nearby. Winter is stupidly tanky, and there is no ultimate from a Lee or a Riven, so you can't stop him from clearing this wave. He will be perfectly fine. So it just fizzles to a kill, Skimmy. Nothing more than 300 gold into the pockets with a 4,000 gold deficit.
A fun fact, PGG across all 7 games played so far have 100% of the time picked up the first turret. That always means they get the first 3. They've done the same again this game, already 2 to their name. Big gold lead as you just mentioned, so business as usual. The aggression is paying off, and it's just giving them the map control to once again roam to fantastic effect. We have a lot of champions that would be loving that freedom.
Yeah, it's not just the first turret, it's the first 3, isn't it? So
yeah.
They do so much more than just break a turret with a Rift Herald. They control most of the entire map very early on, and they're so good with leads. They're a skirmish-heavy group of players, I think that's fair to say. And 14 minutes into this one, 4,000 gold lead, 2 Drakes in hand, win conditions definitely on board. The one thing we're yet to see is Rogue or Lionel really get involved on the map. No one helped Liv. He just kept copping combos and was left to the wolves. It's a rough life out here being a top laner for Kanga.
Yeah. There's
no plays happening, right? I mean, that was a hook. It technically connected, didn't it?
Technically. But technicalities won't win you matches at this stage. There is a hindsight review moment where you perhaps think in this, Chungy, I wish I was playing a mid laner with TP so I could have just backed you up when those unfair ganks were happening at top side. But that's neither here nor there. Right now, all that matters is that 15 minutes into this game, PGG have that big gold lead. They're up by what is soon to be 5,000 gold. They picked up 2 Drakes to the name. They're going to be playing for another Ocean Soul. Map control is theirs to lose.
Yeah, listen, this might be crazy of me to say, right, but Jhin Nautilus locked in as a composition doesn't scream the side that gets priority, you know? Like, you pick this first, you've counter-picked for top lane's matchup. Speaking of top laners.
Oh, that is a dirty Zenith Blade. Even if he flashes, it still connects. Oh, the rocket is so close. I don't know if that would have killed him. It would have been close, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was lethal, but it would have been a pretty significant amount of damage. I don't think it was enough to execute. But they get the flash from Liv, right? So Lee Sin loses a lot of playmaking. And again, towards this composition, as PGG are going to continue to push, I don't see any reason to put the Lee Sin top against the set unless it is objectively winning. If Riven is the counter pick and Gwen exists.
There we go, we're just having a fight after the fact the 4 turrets have fallen on down. Now Chungy left to his own, and they say, we don't care about extracting massive wombo combo value from this bread and butter, we just do it on one.
Easy pick for them once again. They're just controlling the red side jungle, and for Kanga to even walk in there to contest, I think they're just not acknowledging how far behind they are. You know, perhaps it was an attempt at a flank, but that was, if it is an attempt at a flank this early in, knowing that Kanga are there, you just watched your Lee Sin have to flash away from a Leona and a Diana. You know something's up. So it's a pretty rough death to take, honestly. I think just to summarize the things that I've been saying so far as well, Skimmy, if Riven is the pick that wins you the game, what's happened top lane? You know, like why is Lee Sin the blind pick matchup? I don't think Riven's the pick that win you the game, in short, but we didn't know what he was going to pick, and that's the beauty of Chungy.
Yeah. Questions as to what it could have been. I just want to take the skill check and go to Renekton, but he's opted to go for something that could show a bit of that skill expression. Once again, Rogue. Very close with that Hex Flash there to connecting and starting to fight off once again. They've all come together for this third Drake, and it looks like Kanga are keen to contest.
They're certainly keen, but they have a Nautilus without the flash ready. They don't have any vision control in the river besides the bushes. And so to actually get access would have taken them probably an extra wave to work with. So it's pretty much just going to be a free Drake. Herald going to be summoned here afterwards as well, Skimmy. They're looking for the 2-for-1. PGG are keen for the fight. It's Kanga who were considering, you know, they were dipping their toes in the water, but they opt out. It's too cold. PGG are trying to push them in.
So they have boxed them in. Look at Kanga's position, though, setting up a flank from every single angle. They come together to headbutt off a second charge from that Rift Herald, opening up the base, but Chungy jumps in. It gets made unstoppable because he's up in the air and he's down, crashing down. It's a broken roller coaster, and he's not having fun with it. 3 members from the side of Kanga are removed from the game. Flawless so far here from
they want to end. We're 18 minutes in, Skimmy. I think they're considering the end right now.
This would be the quickest game today.
Do it.
This is chronic. This is illegal. This should not be happening. But just like that, as you say, 18 minutes and 30. The Nexus turrets are gone. They're emoting underneath the base. You're scratching your head, you're smiling, you're confused. That is the quickest game this split so far.
I don't think we'll get a quicker game than that. I don't think we'll ever get a faster game than that in the LCO, perhaps for the rest of the year. That's absurd. Pensanet.gg breaking records with game times left, right, and center year after year. They'll celebrate with a dance. I think that's more than we got from them yesterday. You never know what to expect from this roster, but what we can say is we expect aggression. I loved the map movement from them. I enjoyed that they went towards topside. They played the Yasuo out of perhaps a losing lane situation until it was winning.
Yeah.
And the game actually just ends on a dime when they're ahead.
And if you're a neutral, you know, looking to try and figure out which team to support in the region, you like aggression, there is your proof of what they're all about. And I suppose just to put into context how big of a difference that was, the shortest game before that, Mac, was at 23 minutes and 29 seconds. So a huge, huge leap.
Yeah, crazy to think about. I think it was like 18:30 or about 18:35 in between there somewhere. That's a speed run. That's absolutely insane. I don't think we saw, as you mentioned, nothing under 20 minutes yet. And we saw a couple of them last year, but that's when, you know, there was more of a difference in the teams, you know. Looking at this one, we said, okay, Kanga, they're going into this. They're looking for a second dub, or third dub rather, and they're looking to make a change in what we've seen from them so far, show what they're capable of. But PGG, they had different ideas. They were just absolutely smashing it. You could see just the skill level from all of these PGG players. Their chemistry was absolutely nuts. I'm looking at the draft. I'm seeing some things that we're used to seeing, but then some fresh stuff as well. Yuri as well. Look, I was thoroughly enjoying what he was picking, what he was doing rather, over towards mid. And then just his ability to go for these roams as well. Look, you had to feel for Liv though. Absolutely bullied for the first 10 minutes of the game. And no matter what he tried, he just could not survive. Look, he's like, look, sorry, brother. You are all on your own under the tower there. I'm just going, ring around the rosy and surviving. So a rough day at the office for Liv. He's had a couple of those. He's been picked on a lot. But it seems to be a key for their opponents to get the dub. So, like really, you can't fault them. PGG playing not a perfect game, but an almost perfect game. But speed runs, they're never perfect, Rusty.
No, I mean, it may as well be perfect, given that they ended this early on into the game, right? And if there was one thing that I would say, it's that I think Lee Sin top can work, but it's the rest of the team that needs to be like really cautious with how they play into it, because it is a set Diana Yasuo and a Leona that's going to be diving in with Jinx ultimates behind them, right? So Liv had a really rough day at the office, but the enemy composition was designed to punish him early, and it punished him incredibly hard. He wasn't supported by the rest of the roster. Gwen's a very passive jungler super early, and the Riven didn't use priority, if there was any, to get something done. So like a weak side bot lane just kind of watch the game spontaneously combust around them. A very difficult game to play for Kanga if top's going to be that far behind in what's meant to be like a diffusal, even kind of lane almost. But he was losing 1v1.
Okay, well, so far, no good for the Rivens in the LCO, so maybe it's not the pick, maybe we just haven't seen it be used right, or maybe it just hasn't got ahead to play like we know it could be capable of. I guess we'll see if this trend continues going forward for the rest of the week. But in terms of like total damage dealt, considering it was such a short game, that is still like huge numbers coming out there on the graph, isn't it, Skinny?
It is. For Winter, no doubt an absolute field day, the best game of your life. You saw a few of those moments where he's actually getting a skill check, hitting the dead center of the haymaker, the face breaker of bringing back in Lee Sin when he's looking to try and ward hop away. Little micro movements like that set himself up beautifully for the 1v1s, obviously then setting up the tempo for how he can allow his roaming mid laner and jungler to influence and make his life that much stronger too. And I think it's a good identification, right? If you're looking to try and target Kanga, we have been quite vocal about Kanga's bot lane needing more time to develop and finding its source of strength. So if you are limiting the impact that people like Lived and Chungy can emit onto the game, they look a little bit lost.
Well, look, we got time to fill, and fortunately, the best person on the talent that can fill on a desk is Kitty. So let's bring her back because she loves filling time. Now, I hope you have a 30-minute post-match winners interview ready for us, Kitty.
I can definitely fill the desk, but that I cannot for the life of me fill in solo queue rank games. But someone that can is Winter. So let's bring on Winter. Hello, Winter. Congrats on the clean win. You had such good dives on the set.
Hi, bingo bango bongo. It was such an easy game. I wish we could have ended the game earlier, but yeah, it's we're really happy we ended the game before 20 minutes.
18 minutes, I believe that is the shortest game we've had so far in the LCO. But mentioning from last game, Coach Udisoft actually said that you guys have yet to find a team identity. However, from that game just now, I would like to think that Udisoft was wrong. What do you guys think on PGG's progression so far?
To be honest, I don't think we still haven't found our team identity, but I think we just play our gap today. But from now on, we will try find our team identity and try beat strong teams. Yeah.
You guys have 3 super weeks in a row, so I'm sure you will find it very soon. But let's talk about drafts. So we actually saw Kanga draft Lee Sin, Gwen, and Riven. Did you guys expect a Lee Sin top and Riven mid?
No, we didn't expect them to end the drafts this hard. I don't know why from yesterday they stopped picking Riven and they just all start trolling. I don't understand.
Well, glad that PGG were on top today, not trolling like sometimes, you know, just a little bit, but that's okay. Congrats on your win again, and hopefully you have a good night's rest for tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so much, and shout out to Chippies.
No, like cut him off.
Shout out to
cut him off.
Oh.
Yeah, big shout out to Chippies. He's the king. He's Kiwi, so instantly he gets an extra 5 points on my end.
Kitty, I thought you knew. I thought you told me you had telepathy. I thought you were on the same wave with Winterer. You knew he was about to do the shout out. And you
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Can't believe it.
What happened again?
Cannot believe it. Something I can believe, though, is who we picked for the player of the game. And I think there is no surprises here. It's your boy in the mid lane, Yuri, popping the hell off, doing a whole lot of work, rotating when he needed to, and just setting the top laner up for success. So him and Winterer had a very good day at the office. A lot of damage done, 75% kill participation as well, which I think is pretty damn good as a mid laner for a 18-minute game, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, all Yuri had to do was walk top lane and there would be a kill. It's a pretty good life to be a Yasuo, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times you're stuck making those 1v2 outplays yourself, going 0-10, making some montages, just trying to get by, you know? But Yuri doesn't need that. He has a top laner and a jungler coming top lane with him to get all that kill participation. A very simple game at that.
Well, a solid statement from him. And I believe, Skimmy, we've just got word that game was actually the fastest in LCO history. So knocking out the speed run we saw last year.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, right? Because we were looking at this split alone where it was 23 minutes. Production have told us that, yeah, the fastest game before that was 21 minutes and 43 seconds. Back in split 2. Legacy taking on Peace. What a banger that was. So now, PGG out here breaking records.
Beautiful. Absolutely insane
Was that
performance
actually
from
the fastest one?
PGG and insane performance from Yuri in particular. Definitely deserving of the MVP of the game. And, well, we've had the stats checked, Rusty, so
Yeah, no, just
assuming...
wasn't there a game that PGG said they're going to speedrun and they, like, actually slaughtered first game of the split last year?
Oh, yes.
Was that not at, like... I might have the time wrong. I
like
thought that was
18,
super fast.
We can use the break to do a little bit of
yeah, I'm
investigating.
gonna go stat diving.
Yeah.
Look, we got a few things to get past before the break, one of which is answering more questions from those that love us, those that love advice. It's from the fans. It's you guys in Twitch chat. Sending in questions on the Twitter sphere at LCO if you do want to get those questions in. And Lolo has asked, how do I get more sleep? I'm the worst person to ask you. I think everyone on the desk is the worst person to ask because we're all degenerates here. Late night league and early morning LCO are destroying me. So look, we're happy to have you, but unfortunately, I don't know if anyone's going to have good advice. Rusty, you're probably the healthiest of us.
Have you tried not living on the other side of the world? Because the early morning LCO is one thing you could fix, right? I'm not assuming you're going to be able to cure your addiction to late night league. But listen, as someone that's got maybe 4 hours of sleep in the past 2 nights, don't look at me. If you come up with the answer, can you tell me? That's what I'm after.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have a follow-up one. Skimmy, yeah?
All I would say is our content team is goated. You've actually got highlights all over YouTube now, instantly uploaded. So look, if you only got a hot minute, don't, destroy your sleeping pattern. Try and be a little bit of a normie because it's good for you. And, check in, see it as it is. You get the best of both worlds, right?
Oh, and look, LCO production also putting a nice little answer in there. Just fall asleep, forehead. So, it's as easy as that. So, coming in clutch and Lolo, I hope we definitely helped you with your problems.
Help us.
Stare into the camera,
Lolo.
help me.
That's it. Now, I do love to leave you all high and dry. But, unfortunately for you guys, we have more games to get to. So, I'm not going to make you feel any longer. Look, Kitty was trying to get to the break. She cut the interview short, and I think it's time to cut this segment short too. We got that third game to get to. It's going to be Direwolves and Gravitas. Now, I'm expecting this to be an absolute pop-off performance from Gravitas. They're deserving of another W, and I feel like this could be where they find it. However, we got to get to the other side of the break before we jump on in to game number 3 of the day. So, ladies and gents, guys, keep hydrated. It's hot today, and we'll see you after this for game number 3.
So they have boxed them in. Look at Kanga's positioning, setting up a flank from every single angle. They come together to headbutt off a second charge from that Rift Herald. Opening up the base, but Chungy jumps in. He gets made unstoppable because he's up in the air and he's down, crashing down. It's a broken roller coaster, and he's not having fun with it. 3 members from the side of Kanga